Gameplan for Good is the podcast that brings you stories of world shakers and champions of change. Join us as we dive into the journeys of innovative business leaders who are making a positive impact and creating a better world. Uncover their game plans for success, discover groundbreaking innovations, and be inspired to unleash your own potential. Get ready for a brighter future in business with Gameplan for Good. Hello and welcome to yet another episode number 5. Actually, we're pretty sure it is, for Gameplan for Good. Very excited to have Jodie Hollis here from the Cancer Support Angels. Jodie, how are you going?
I'm well, and you?
Good. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm really excited to talk to you. Actually, it was great to meet you, and we had a good hour there. And what I found was amazing was I got to learn about your story, but you found a way to turn around and ask me questions about myself, which is like that's awesome. So I got to share what I'm doing, and straight off the bat, I know you're a good person, and thank you so much for coming on. Now let's quickly have a look at some of the awards that you and the Cancer Support Angels have won. So you've got the Australia Day Award for the Holt Electorate in 2020.
Yes.
You can speak to that if you want.
Yes, it was. It was kind of amazing. I was actually on the awards committee.
Oh, right.
And I was in there, and we're going through, and we're saying who's worthy of the awards, and then all of a sudden I flicked the page, and there was me. So it was kind of like, oh my God, like how did I get in here?
Yeah.
So I clearly excused myself from the room at the time, and then came back in, and about 4 days before the awards, they rang me up and said, you've won, you need to be there. And the reason they had to let me know was because I was actually having my birthday party the night before.
Oh, right.
And I had like 100 people coming. So it was kind of like, okay, yep, all right. So late night, early morning.
Yeah.
But an amazing recognition. I don't need it, but it was just, I was so chuffed.
Right. Well, you don't need it, but you've got a few here, so we're going to go through them quickly.
Getting there.
Okay. So obviously you founded the Cancer Support Angels in 2019, and then nominated for 12 awards in 2022. Finalist in the City of Casey Australia Day Awards. Now help me say this,
Ozmumpreneur, and they'll be very stoked if I get it right. So
Ozmumpreneur Awards in 2 categories, and the Australian Small Business Champion Awards. So there's 2 categories there, and then you won bronze in the Stevie International Awards for Organisation of the Year, charity or not-for-profit, and bronze international award for Female Executive of the Year, also charity or not-for-profit.
Correct.
So a lot's happened, and we're going to dig into more of that. But first, I want to take you back to a time growing up in Frankston. This is something we have common.
Yep.
We're both Frankston babies, we're children. And so tell me about what it was like to grow up in Frankston. Now, Frankston, Langwarrin, right?
Yeah, so I'll put it out there. I grew up in the Pines.
Yeah. So did my mum.
Yay!
You're not old enough
chicks.
to know my mum, though, probably not.
Well, probably not. But Pines chicks we rule. I got to the Pines. I'm going to say I was 7. Yeah, roughly that age. We prior to that lived kind of everywhere. Dad being in the Navy.
Yep.
We lived all over the place. I was in that area for. How long were we there? Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And then Dad got posted to Darwin.
Okay.
So, I had this, see you guys, I'm leaving, blah, 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 at the end of grade 3. And first day of grade 4, I was back at school, at the same school.
Yeah.
We got to Darwin and Dad got posted somewhere else. So we stayed there for a little bit, and then Mum said, no, we're going back. So straight back to the Pines, which... a lot of people have a really bad look on it. Back then it was predominantly defence services and homeowners. There was a bit of housing commission, but it didn't matter. We were all friends.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't matter who you were. And
Oh, look, I've seen lots of photos from my mum growing up in the Pines and the community, and even times I've been there myself. I've known people there. I did casual teaching at Monterey.
I went to Monterey.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So that was, and look, I did have a friend, a young person I knew in there, who kind of had my back and made me acceptable to the people. But I found it. I didn't get stabbed. No, but
You
there is
need
that.
to be accepted.
There
you really
is.
do.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You need to let them use you as a step ladder playing football.
Well, it depends. I mean, I broke my leg. I started that school, started grade 2, so January, February. I broke my leg in like the April, May. And one of the school bullies pushed me down a set of stairs. And I don't know what it was. And being 7, it was really unlike me. But while he was standing there at the bottom of the stairs laughing at me, I decided to belt him with my crutches. So I never got picked on after that.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And so your upbringing, do you think that is like, how has that developed your character in business even?
Look, I was like my family. I grew up, and there was no fighting, no violence, all that sort of stuff. And growing up in the Pines, I still didn't see a lot of it, But that one day said to me, if I don't stand up to him now, he's going to bully me forever.
Yeah.
And he never bullied me ever again.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things. Anyone that knows me knows that I've got more front than Maya, and I don't care. That's fine. That's who I am. But I will stand up for what I believe in. I won't sit down and take it. I'm that person.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Now, traveling, like your dad was in the Navy, as you mentioned. What sort of travel did you do, and how has that contributed to you as a person?
I get itchy feet all the time. It's like, where can I go? What sort of road trip can I go on? I love a road trip. One of the things I remember is when Dad got posted to Darwin, we had 2 cars at the time, which was huge for families back then to have 2 cars. And my brother and I would take it in turns day by day. We drove to Darwin, and one day I'd go with Mum, the next I'd go with Dad, and we'd alternate. And we'd drive for a certain amount of time, and then Mum and Dad would pick a spot and we'd stay the night. But it'd be quite early in the day. We'd be up early and stop early and stop for lunch and, have a swim and all that sort of stuff along the way, and just really enjoy it. And I just get itchy feet all the time. It's like, where can I go? What can I see? Who can I, visit?
Yeah.
I can't wait to...
Is that like an entrepreneurial type or side of your personality? Is
Probably,
that kind of part of where that comes from?
Potentially. It's just, I love new things. I love seeing new things, doing new things.
Yeah. So you were in bookkeeping for a long period, so 18 through to 42 years old. But in amongst that time, you were starting businesses and you were doing other things as well. Can you explain that period of your life?
Yeah, so I had a great job with a job network agency as a bookkeeper or accounts clerk, and part of my role, I just kind of fell into it. I had to organise the company functions with the company PA. And I just loved doing that. Like, it was so much fun. And when I left that organisation, I continued bookkeeping, doing temp work. That was where I loved being temp work. Different organisations, different skills all the time, learning new things, meeting new people. And then I decided to try and dabble in functions on the side. So I started a business at 25. And then got to a point where I was getting really busy, opened up a shop. I was doing some really great work, and we were quite busy. Somehow or other, I don't recall how, but I made friends with the previous owner of that shop, and it just so happened to be another function company.
Okay.
And they specialised in weddings, and he was like, I'll be your mentor, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'll help you through this. I'll introduce you to people. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
Great.
Little did I know the whole time he was just planning on starting his own side business again and undercutting everything that I was doing and anybody else that I was doing it with.
Right.
So I think it was about, so that was in about 2000 I started it, and it was a side gig. It was a hustle.
Yeah.
You know, met a lot of amazing people doing corporates along the way. I met Sarah Marie from Big Brother, and funny bird, but you know, and then I started doing it full time. This gentleman came along, and a couple of years later, my dreams just fell apart. Day by day, I would have function centre cancel.
Yeah.
Couldn't really understand what was going on.
Yeah.
And then found out that, he was undercutting all my business and all that sort of stuff. So I had to make some really tough decisions. I had 2 small children, a mortgage. And so I decided to close and went back to work, bookkeeping. For the next 12 months, tried to stay on top of things and pay back all my creditors.
When you say close, was that bankruptcy or?
At that stage, I just closed. Just closed it all down. I made a promise to everyone to pay back what I owed, which wasn't a great deal. I think I owed the bank more than I owed anyone.
Yeah.
And in the end, I couldn't get to where I wanted to be in that period of time. So I did declare bankruptcy, and I did my time and I did my sentence, and learnt a lot of things through that.
I bet, yeah. What were some of the things that you learnt?
I'm very wary, and for all of the coaches out there, I'm really sorry, and mentors, but I'm really wary of them. Okay. That experience was something that I'll never ever forget, and trust is a huge thing. So before I go with somebody, and I have worked with a number of coaches and mentors since, but before I go with them, I really have to know that there's not going to be anything like that that's going to happen to me again. Yeah.
Waterboarding usually gets the truth out of them.
Yeah. Sometimes, Sometimes. I'm getting good at it.
But understandably. Now explain, how does the brewery come into that?
Oh, wow.
Not into that, but into your life at that time.
Into my life. So back in 2008, I met my partner. Somehow, and I was always a beer lover. I was a beer chick. I grew up in the Pines. You drank beer because it was cheaper than spirits and wine, and we kind of figured out early days that if you mixed a wine cooler with a VB, it tasted like Carlton Draft.
Okay.
Right? So I couldn't afford Carlton Draft, so we just bought the 2, and probably still more expensive, but it was a theory. Yeah. So we stumbled across a brewery that you could go and make your own beer. Yeah. And so we started doing it out in Keilor Park, and we would travel all the way to Keilor Park just to make this beer. And what we found was that no preservatives and no this and no that. Let's just say it's a hell of a lot easier to recover the next day after a hell of a lot more beers. So really interesting and so crisp and so fresh. Yeah. It didn't matter what beer it was just, oh my God, this is amazing. And they had like 200 and something different beers, and a lot of really custom ones too. Like back then, we're talking 2009, 2010, we're looking at the up and coming birth of Stone and Wood and those sorts of beers. So those were already on the list. They'd found a way to replicate it, blah, blah, blah.
So this was an established business?
This
you
was
came
an
into?
established business that we were going to brew.
Yeah.
We kind of went, this would be amazing to do. We started figuring out how much it would cost. We contacted companies that were franchising, blah, 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 blah. And then we kind of went, you know what? We don't want to franchise because there's no money in franchise, right? There's no money in franchising. And I know Janine Ellis from Boost Juice will disagree with me. She's built an amazing organisation, but a lot of other organisations, there's no money in it.
Right.
So we didn't want to franchise. We wanted to go out on our own.
Yeah.
We found a company that would let us do it. And so we opened the exact same thing in Hallam. And it was great. Like it was absolutely fabulous. The whole setup process, I was making beer every day, and I can barely cook. So, it's like, oh my God, this is my calling.
Yeah.
So great. And again, through that experience, I met a lot of amazing people in the city of Casey. Yeah. A very good friend of mine was involved in what was she involved in? Everything, really. Okay. Everything. She had her finger in every pie. And she used to bring a lot of corporates and things like that through the brewery for functions. Yeah. We used to do a lot of weddings.
So this is a good friend of yours, still a good friend of yours?
Unfortunately, she passed from cancer.
Sorry to hear that.
Last year. So, yeah. Oh. But we'd been friends since birth. So she used to bring everyone our way, and that's how I started to cement myself in the city of Casey and just meet some amazing people.
So can I ask about the brewery did you scale that to a certain degree, or you obviously that you exited from there?
Yeah, look, I will say that it was a great adventure. I'm glad I sold it, and I'm glad I got it to a saleable point. Yeah. It was a lot of hard work. Yeah. We also had a construction company at the time, so I would work the brewery. My partner would work the construction company. Yeah. He would finish, obviously, as a tradie at 3:30. He would then come to the brewery and do the evening till like 7, so I could go home and deal with the kids and all of that. So we got it to a point where we could sell it. I needed to.
And now in the background, when did the Cancer Support Angels, when did the idea of...
It started during this because which nobody knew at the time, but through my journey with the brewery, I was going through my own cancer battle. And I kept it to my parents knew, I think my brother knew, my kids knew, and my partner knew, and that was it.
Why was that, can I ask?
Yeah, it was a really weird thing. I've never been a sick person. I'm a clumsy person. I'll break a bone, but I'm never sick. Yeah. And I really don't know. I just felt I didn't want pity. I didn't want sorrow. I didn't want any of that because I'm bigger than that. I'm bigger than what is happening to me right now. I'm more than that. And I didn't want people just ringing me to say, how are you? Or what can I do to help?
So what did you need at the time? What did you need?
Just my friends, just my family. I just needed normality. And so that's why I kept it normal. I kept everything normal. Didn't matter how bad the day it was. Nobody knew how bad it was. Nobody knew what I was experiencing because I didn't want those sad puppy dog eyes looking back at me saying, are you okay? And also through a cancer journey, and I'd seen it happen to somebody else, some people get to the point where they don't know what to say, so they don't talk. Yeah, yeah. And I didn't want that either because I'm such a social person that I didn't want to lose that. So it was easier not to say anything.
And so while you're going through this, you're not just thinking about what what your journey is, but you're thinking about, well, because obviously Cancer Support Angels is formulating and gestating. It's like you're thinking about other people and their journey and how and what they need and that. So that was the birthing pains of. Can you explain how that went from an idea to actually becoming a real thing that's winning awards?
I have to pinch myself, I really do. And again, we've said this a few times today. I know that sounds cliche, but I do have to pinch myself. Having gone through that journey and looking everywhere for things like support groups and some sort of financial help and just Googling, like everybody that watches this is going to understand. You get a really bad pain in your leg. Oh my God, jump on Google. Am I having a stroke? Everyone does it.
Yeah,
right?
Chat GPT now for me.
Exactly,
but yes.
yeah.
My new doctor / girlfriend / therapist / screenplay writer.
That's it. But we all do it. We've all done it. Oh my God, I've got a headache. Oh my God, I've got brain cancer. And I'm not making light of the situation, brain cancer that is, but we all do that. And so I would Google, is there support groups? Is there places I can talk to people that are like me? There was nothing. Unless I had breast cancer or testicle cancer, which last time I checked, I didn't have a prostate or a testicle. I wasn't going to a group like that, and I didn't have breast cancer. So I had thyroid cancer, which nothing was explained to me. Nothing was set out for me. My surgeon, God love him, amazing man. You would never know he cut my throat. Even now, I have to really extend my neck for you to see it. But my specialist, the person that's meant to give me that sort of information and those sorts of referrals and not interested, Then finding I was allergic to the mainstream medication, and it's kind of like, oh my God, what do you do? Like, where do you go? So you're constantly on Google.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to just jump onto these Facebook groups and talk to everybody behind a screen. That's not me, Sitting here is me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk to somebody behind another screen. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Like, I got no idea. And I'm not going to pour my feelings out. I barely pour my feelings out at the best of times, let alone behind a screen. So I just thought, how many other people feel like this? Like apparently at the time, we're talking 2013, 130-something thousand people were diagnosed with cancer in Australia. Like how many other people felt the same way that I felt? How many other people couldn't find services? And that's the cogs started turning. Like the cogs never stop really, but they were just like, oh my God, like. So I rang the Cancer Council and I tried to get as much information from them as I could. Like, what do you guys offer? What can you help me with? Well, do you want to go to a support group? Oh yeah, I'd love that. Right. Do you have breast cancer? No. Do you have prostate cancer? No. Like, I'm a chick. Well, yeah, see, there's nothing. And then there was no other services, but we can sit here and chat with you. Dude, I don't want to chat with you. Have you been through my journey?
Yeah.
Have you done what I've done? Have you felt what I've felt? I want to talk to somebody else that's been through a journey.
Yeah.
I want to talk to somebody else that can say, yeah, shit, I'm scared that I'm not going to wake up tomorrow. I've got 2 small kids. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
I want to talk to somebody. I don't want to talk to you, So that's when I kind of thought, oh my God, there's got to be some way to fill this hole, you know. You've got to fill this hole that's out there. And I just kept it in my mind. I just kept Googling. And that was how. I didn't know how, I didn't know why, I didn't know when. It was there and it was going to happen.
What was the pivotal moment though? Because sometimes we sit on an idea or we see a solution to a problem and we sit on that for a while and it grows, but there's usually a pivotal moment where we actually turn that into action. Was there a moment like that for you, and how did that play out?
There was. Still in the brewery. And in February 2016, my dad had started his first day of annual leave and he had a heart attack. And
Sorry to hear that.
he's still with us.
Yeah.
So I don't even know why I'm
okay.
emotional. He's still with us.
All right.
So
Good.
he's still here. And it just rocked me to my core. So after that, I started to close the brewery a few days a week, and Mum was still working. I mean, Dad was still working full time then anyway, but Mum still had to go to work as well. So I was helping Mum, take Dad to and from appointments, be with him, things like that, because my family's my life. They're everybody's family should be their life. I mean, I know some are horrible, but mine aren't. I actually like mine.
Yeah, good.
And that's when I said, I've got to sell. I've got to sell.
Was that because did you have a bit of an epiphany to your own mortality or something? Like I know that you've already been through tough things, but was it kind of like, well, I'm at this stage in my life. If I want to really connect with my purpose, like what was it internally like
by that stage? So the mortality factor is there, was there every day. And even once you've got the all clear, it sits in the back of your mind. There's not one person that's got the all clear that's going to tell you they don't think about it, right? Because once you've had cancer, the chance of getting a secondary or a reoccurrence is huge. It's a lot higher than a first time. So it was kind of like, wow, what am I going to do with my life that I want to do? Like I've been a bookkeeper my whole life pretty much because that's what I'm good at, right? I just do numbers. It's what I'm good at. I can't do this. Well, I probably could now, but I'm not an artist. I'm not a marketer. I have got no idea how to create a social media post, but I do numbers. So it's what's paid the bills, but what do I want? And I knew that I wanted to help, but I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
I wanted somebody else to not feel the way I felt. And my journey was nothing compared to the journey of the people that I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
And that was when I said, right, got to sell.
Yeah.
Got to do something that I want to do.
So how did you, because I'd love for us to be able to give, or for you to be able to give some advice for people who are in that, at that stage of, they're thinking about starting a not-for-profit. Do you have 3 pieces of advice that you could give for people at that stage of their startup?
I think first and foremost is, again, super cliche, but why? Like find a room, get a whiteboard, Post-it notes, whatever, and just post everywhere. Why? Yeah. Know that why and know it like the back of your hand, right? Why? Why am I doing it? If you don't know why you're doing it, there's no point in doing it.
How do you get away from the good idea kind of, because sometimes we can visualize, oh, that would be great if I could do this. But then when we embark on it, we find, well, actually, I'm not getting a lot of satisfaction out of that. So how can we, in your experience, really connect with what is our why? Like, is there a process that you went through to work that out?
Yeah, I had the idea. So what I did was I reached out to a friend, a federal politician at the time, and I said to him, I've got an idea. I need to run it past somebody that's completely unbiased and will tell me if it's absolute rubbish. Like, we'll be honest. And he wrote back and he said, if there's anybody that can do it, it's you. Great idea. And I thought, oh my God. So then I went to another person that a coach that I'd had in the brewery, Alan Marion, and I contacted him and I said, what do you think? And he was like, oh, as you know, startups are hard. Charity startups are even harder.
Yeah.
And I went, challenge accepted. It was just, if there's a mountain, I'm going to climb it.
Yeah.
And the passion was far too great to not continue wanting to move forward with it. From there,
do you think if you didn't start, it would still be burning?
Oh,
like
yeah.
it would be like you
eating
can't
at
get
me.
away from
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Like
be
that's
eating.
another gauge, isn't it? To
Yeah.
like, yeah, I need to do this because it won't leave me alone. And if I don't embark on it, despite the risk, I'm going to regret it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 10 years this month since my own surgery, and I get goosebumps. Like sitting here, I have goosebumps talking to you about what I do, right?
Yeah.
When I'm in an elevator and somebody asks me what I do, I get the goosebumps talking about what I do because I love what I do.
Yeah.
And again, cliche, but I love it. And when you can go to work every day and love what you do, it's not work. It really isn't. It's like, how many more hours can I work today?
Yep.
Like, how much more can I get out of it? How much more can I do? So I think the top three things is talk to unbiased people
Yeah.
first, right? Everyone's got a million ideas.
Connect to your why.
Connect
To
to
your
your why.
why. And talk to unbiased
Talk
people.
to unbiased people.
Honest feedback.
Honest. Yeah. Sometimes you're not going to like what you hear, right? There was a number of people that, as I've mentioned, said to me, "Oh, is this your midlife crisis?" No, I don't want to live to 90. Like, no, no, I didn't want to hear it, but I don't. They couldn't follow it up with valid reasons.
Yeah.
Right? There was nothing valid about it. It was just, are you okay? Like coming out of cancer? Are you having a breakdown?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. I want to help. Like, and I've always been involved in some sort of charity. My whole from 16.
Because you volunteered for the the 2016. Was it 2016?
16, 17, 18, 19 Relay for Life.
No, it was the Cancer Council. Was it?
Yeah.
Yep.
On all of those years, we did Relay for Life down at Narry Cranbourne. But even back as far as 16, I was doing major fundraising for Save the Children and Foundation, and helped with something for the Fred Hollows. One of my ex-husbands did another Save the Children.
Yeah.
And I pushed him to get involved in that. So I've always kind of dabbled in something. And it's always been fun, and it's great to see the rewards and the results.
So speaking of, that's a great segue for the rewards and the results. So with the Cancer Support Angels, you've assisted over 3,000 patients in under 1,000 days. What does that support look like for someone suffering from cancer?
So it could be a care pack. So we do angel packs, and they consist, we have men, women and children. So the men's consist of socks, beanie, warm socks, because when you do chemo, you quite often get cold feet, beanie, some well thought out skincare from a dermal therapy. They're a company, and yay Dermal if you're watching and listening, they are amazing. They donate all of their product to us.
Wow. Yep.
They formulated theirs for people going through heavy medical conditions and things like that. It's an amazing product. I use it.
Yeah.
They get puzzle books and pens and things like that, notebooks to keep them busy while they're doing chemo and sitting there, occupied then. The women get a journal, a bandana, socks, drink bottles, all that sort of stuff, skincare as well.
What reaction do you get from that kit?
Oh, I've had people call me crying, and to me, it's such a small thing, but I'm like, oh my God, it came in the mail and I've had the worst week and this is just amazing. Thank you. And it's like, it's okay. Like, it's fine. You requested it. The kids get Lego, like Lego. And the kids at the Children's Hospital, and the Monash Children's, the amount of letters that we've received saying, oh my God, it kept them busy for 2 weeks. They rebuilt this so many different ways.
Yeah.
You know, the nurses are ever so grateful that these are going to the kids. They're not going into the playroom to share. It's each individual person to keep, to take home.
Yeah, yeah.
So we get lots of good feedback.
Yeah. That's awesome. And the phone support as well. You
Mm-hmm.
said that you needed, when you're going through your journey, you needed to be able to talk to someone on the phone and get support from someone who'd been through similar. So you offer the phone support as well?
Yep, so phone and email. So we have a 1-800 number, 1-800-979-724. And what we now have 8 people in that team, and they do email and phone support. You can call them, you can have a chat to them. I believe we have a couple of nurses that have just been onboarded, and you can have a chat. Everyone that's involved with us, and especially in that team, has either had their own cancer journey or supported a loved one through a cancer journey.
Yeah.
That's what we're about. We're about giving back and knowing what we've already been through.
So someone going through a cancer journey can call, but also a friend of or family member
Of course,
of somebody going through that
Yep.
can call on their behalf.
they can. But the family member might need a chat.
True. Yeah.
They might need to say, how can I help? What can I say? There's only so many times you can say to someone, how are you feeling? Before that person goes, I'm sick of this conversation. Like,
Yeah.
tell me how your drinks went last night. I want to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, we want to hear normal stuff. We want to
Yeah.
hear normal life.
Yeah.
We don't want cancer to consume everything. We want to be classed as normal people still.
Yeah.
So your friends can call up and say, how do I talk to them? Carers can call up and say, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
exhausted. What should I do? You know?
Yeah.
And we can also link them in to other services,
Yeah.
help them with food pantries, getting tyres fixed on their car, help pay their rent, all those sorts of things. Like there's numerous things that we will help with. And then there's the financial assistance, which we predominantly do at Christmas, which is called Angels Day on the 1st of December. We raise money and give it back out to the community for Christmas so that everybody can just
It's awesome.
relax at Christmas time and enjoy it for what it is, rather than I've got no money. Do we eat? Do we buy presents? Do we pay for treatment? Do we buy medication?
Going through the journey, what is just quickly, we'll wrap up soon, but how does it affect your financial situation going through a journey with cancer?
If you have got money, it's generally pretty good, right? I had private health insurance as well, so I was pretty lucky. Peter Mac would have to be the best hospital, and ONJ. Peter Mac's free, and a lot of people don't know that. What Peter Mac won't do for their patients is not really worth doing. So I urge anybody that is going through a journey, if they can, get onto a Peter Mac centre, because financially you won't really worry as much. But I read a report that statistically from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, 88% of the Australian population fall below the poverty line after a cancer diagnosis. And that is because you end up too sick to work through chemos and radiations. I was lucky. I was back at work after 5 weeks. I was just lonely and scared.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have all of that. I went back to work. You know, I had no choice. But I felt fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's just these people don't. And when you get emails that of the caliber that we get and the stories that we hear, I don't understand why there's no real level of support in this country for cancer when God love the Cancer Council and every other organisation doing research, because we wouldn't be where we are today without it.
Yeah.
But our people are being forgotten. 150,000 people a year are being forgotten, are being classed as a number. We need to support them. We need to give them a better level of support. We need to let them know that there is someone out there that's exactly the same as them, that's going through the same journey. Let's do this journey together. Let's fight it together. Let's walk it together, right? And then let's celebrate together.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being an amazing. I'm not getting emotional. I'm not going to get emotional. Thank you for being an amazing person. There, I got it out. I think what you do is amazing. Big thanks also to Lane Burdett, who is producing Cutting Between the Angles. Good friend of mine introduced me to you, but
He
thank
better
you.
have the skinny angle.
For me. But thank you to Lane Burdett. By the way, tradies, if you ever want a website, Lane Burdett at Tradie Marketing can make you a great website. So I have to give him a plug because he's produced a few of these shows
And
for
he
me.
did my original website, so you got to plug him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But he helped bring you on, and
did.
this is about Game Plan for Good. And I've got one last question. If you could sum up in one sentence, what is your game plan for good?
Support. We can't say it any other way. We just had our strategic meeting. It is support. It is support for cancer patients. Support, support, support. What can we do? How can we help? Like the great man on New Amsterdam says, how can I help?
How can people help you in what you're doing?
Great question. They can donate on our website, okay?
So I'm assuming cancersupportangels.com.au?
.org.au.
.org.au.
Yep.
Okay, lucky.
They can donate. They can volunteer. Volunteers, if anyone wants to volunteer, we're desperate. We have almost 100 people now, but we really need more. So volunteer. And sponsors. We need sponsors. Every sponsor we get just means that it's another thing that we don't have to pay for. It's more money we can push back out into our community.
Awesome. Great. Well, thanks again.
Thanks, Chad.
Absolute legend in our country,
Thank
communities.
you so much.
Beautiful work you're doing. And that was episode number 5, I believe.
We're sticking with 5.
For
No one
Game
else
Plan
is
for
getting
Good.
5.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for watching Game Plan for Good. Stay connected with us on social media to discover more game-changing stories and gain valuable business insights. All of our episodes are recorded in our Assertive Media studio in Melbourne.